In this video, I want to talk about time management. I want to share some tips and also some of my experiences throughout the years as a PhD student. Hello everyone, welcome back to Miss Ming's channel. This is Miss Ming. In this channel, everything I'm passionate about to create a happy, healthy, beautiful lifestyle. If this content interests you, make sure you subscribe to this channel and also ring the notification bell so that you don't miss out any future content. As a very small starting YouTuber, knowing that someone in this world are actually watching my content, enjoying my content. If you already subscribed, I thank you so much. Your support literally means the world to me and I really appreciate that. I never take it for granted. In this video, I want to talk about time management. I want to share some tips and also some of my experiences throughout the years as a PhD student who's trying to balance in teaching and my own schoolwork and publications and everything at the same time, trying to have a YouTube channel and trying to live a happy life with my husband and his family. And also a disclaimer, just because I know these tips and I use these tips in my life doesn't mean that I'm always on the top of the thing. There are always times that I fell into a rut and I need to really get myself together. So don't feel bad if you can't live up to those tips. I myself, knowing these tips, using these tips, sometimes cannot always be on top of the things. So again, just take care of yourself, love yourself, and with that note, let's get started. Just like writing before I made this video, I also wrote down an outline in terms of the tips I want to share in this video so that I don't ramble too much. And also I got my blue drinks of the day. This is an electrolytes drink. Oh, this video is not sponsored. I was thinking about doing a video, fitness related videos, so if you're interested in that, please comment down below. And also give this video a thumbs up. Okay, so let's just put this on the side. Okay, let's get started! Rule number 1. I live by a rule called 2-minute rule, but I don't really do the 2-minute rule just because I actually live under a 5-minute rule, which means if there is anything that you could do within 5 minutes, do it immediately. So it's either a small task at work, a small task for your family, if it's texting someone, asking some questions, if it's about responding to an email, if it just takes less than 5 minutes, I will do it immediately. A lot of times we get stressed because we accumulate a lot of tasks, and if you really think about it, there are a lot of tasks that you can just do it immediately. If you can do it immediately so you can get it off the list, so that you don't have to keep in mind that there are so many things in your mind that you have to deal with, and also in your to-do list you only put down the tasks that actually take up 1 hour, 30 minutes, 2 hours of your time instead of a very short 5-minute task. It's always easier if I can finish something quick immediately, so in the future I don't have to keep in mind, I don't have to put it on my to-do list. I feel like there are less things to do in my life because I already get it done. Second tip, to-do list is not an excuse to procrastinate. I myself do that all of the time, but a lot of times I will make to-do list over and over again. I have a monthly planner, I have a daily planner, I have a weekly planner, and I just put down, and then I have a separate to-do list. And a lot of times I just put tasks into every single to-do list that I have, either electronically on my computer or on my cell phone, or I just wrote it down in my daily to-do list. We spend so much time thinking, tomorrow I'm gonna do this. I plan to do this tomorrow. I plan to do this tomorrow. As long as I write it down on to-do list, I won't forget it. But somehow it just became a habit, at least to me sometimes. I procrastinate just because I wrote something down in to-do list and I know I won't forget them. And there are definitely times that I actually don't even get to them and then I give up on the task. Make to-do list is a great habit, but if you plan to do something, do it immediately within the next 3 days or at least a week. Don't put it ahead and try to procrastinate. It happens to me all the time, so I need to be mindful of that as well. Third tip, batching. I know a lot of times people say do things immediately. For example, in terms of cleaning the house or doing laundry or things like that, a lot of the YouTubers, they share that they usually prefer to clean every once in a while throughout the day. They clean in the morning, they clean again in the afternoon, they clean again after dinner. There is nothing wrong with that. It's actually a great habit if you want to keep your house clean. But if you want to be productive, if you have a teaching job, at the same time trying to write for publications, at the same time trying to finish a dissertation, at the same time trying to do YouTube, moving around, switching between tasks, you're actually wasting a lot of time. It's not a great habit in terms of how to keep your house clean. I don't have a clean house, as you can see from the background, but surely I am productive. I drink like cups, or I drink like soft drinks, my soda and things like that. I would just put it everywhere around the house, and usually once every 3 days or once every week I would just like throw away the junk, because they're just bottles, cans, and like it's not like a big deal, right? If you do this task every single day, it probably takes you about 10 minutes to do so, versus if you're batching them, because I hang out in the exactly same spots every week. I would just go to these spots and then I would just throw away, instead of throwing away 1 bottle, I just throw away 5 bottles at the end of the week. So those smaller tasks that you can do that requires the same setting, requires you go to the same physical places, you can actually do them by batches, such as folding clothes. But remember, this is a great tips for time management, but this is not a great tips for keeping your house clean. I know in the future I will kind of change my habit a little bit. Instead of cleaning every week, I will clean maybe every other day, but batching is a great tip. All right, tip number 4. Tip number 4 is planning. I think I talk about planning in every single video of mine, because I literally plan every single detail of my life. I'm a little bit OCD about that, because in my daily life, first I have a monthly planner. I put down the schedule of the classes I teach or I take, and also I put down the family events and things that I need to go, like conferences or like workshops, like things that requires my attention in a monthly planner. I also have a weekly spread, like visualizing what I need to do in terms of each week. When do I want to go to yoga, on which days I want to go to the gym to work out, on which days I want to do laundry. Again, this is a sort of macro planning in terms of visualizing your week, what your weeks are going to look like, because you're not going to be able to make it to the gym every single day. It's better to plan those chores on the day when you don't have things to do in the evenings, or it's easier to plan a gym day when you have to go to school, and then you can just go to the school gym, versus if you actually don't go to school on that day, you have to make a separate trip to the gym, and that requires additional travel time on the road. So again, I do think about these things. I do think about the physical settings, like if I can go to school, I can submit this paperwork, and at the same time go to the gym, at the same time maybe have a meeting, schedule a meeting with another person. So I plan macroly. I also plan microly, which means every day in the morning when I wake up, 1, 2, 3, and then I wake up, and
I don't understand. I'm trying to become a morning person, and I've been waking up consistently earlier than I used to wake up, but it's just hard if you have schedules to hang out with your friends or family at night until at 10 o'clock. You can't wake up at 5 if you go to bed at 11, so it's just sometimes it's not possible to become a morning person just because of the schedule requirements, and there's no shame on that because it's only been waking up. But I could search the web for it.
Oh my god, my phone was listening. Okay, this is pre-Halloween haunted story. In the morning, sometimes after I wake up, I would love to take a moment before I wake up, and sometimes I do that after I wake up when I'm drinking my morning coffee. Morning me time is very important. The first thing I think about is how I feel today. Do I feel great? Do I feel bad? If I feel bad, what is causing my feeling, and how do I address it? After that, the next step I do is to visualize what my day is gonna look like. Every morning of my day, I would visualize what my day is going to look like in terms of every single little detail. Sometimes I make a to-do list, sometimes I write it in my daily planner. Tip number 5, prioritize. Actually, this tip is kind of controversial in my perspective, because sometimes me prioritizing certain tasks means I am unprioritized what's the opposite word of prioritize? Basically, I'm procrastinating in terms of something else. But it's very important to know which task in your to-do list is more important. For example, in my life, I take my teaching very seriously, so I would prioritize replying to student email before doing something else, because I know what it feels to be a student writing an email to a professor when your professor doesn't really confirm that they received the email, especially if you're asking for a solution when they don't help you to resolve that issue. And it just, to me, my heart is like, so to me, I don't want my student to have that feeling, so I try to be on top of my emails, which means that there are also other tasks that I'm not prioritizing. So I'm procrastinating, put those tasks on the side. So other than replying to student emails, I also prioritize in terms of the tasks that I collaborate with other people. I don't want to be contributing to somebody's missing a deadline. Tip number 6. Set your own deadline. I know with a lot of tasks, especially for work, we have a lot of deadlines, right? You have school deadlines, you have work deadlines, you have proposal deadlines. I just keep talking about the Ph.D. stuff, like usually, but people can't even relate to it. But before the deadline approaches, I usually want to set a deadline like way before the actual deadline, so I'm not stressing out when the deadline approaches. So if the deadline is in 20 days, I will set my own deadline as in 12 days, so I have 8 days to buffer. Another thing is when I was learning how to drive, I didn't have a father that could teach me how to drive. Actually, I didn't even have a father. Don't worry, I'm over it. It's not like people think, oh, I'm so sorry to hear that, but I'm okay. I focus on things that I have in my life. I don't focus on the things I don't have. So when I was learning how to drive, it was really hard. I had a lot of friends who were helping me back then, but I was very scared. And then I was like, okay, I will never learn how to drive. And then I talked to my advisor about it. Why do I talk to my advisor about it? But I have the best advisor, academic advisor in this world, because she really cares for me, like my emotions and life in general, and she advised me to set myself a deadline. So before this date, you have to get your driver's license. You have to pass the driving test. And I did, so I passed, and then I drove. Even when there are tasks in your life that doesn't require any deadline, set yourself a deadline. Is going to help you to do it instead of procrastinate. But always set yourself a very firm deadline to yourself, even if it's not required, such as cleaning your house. I hope this video doesn't backfire me, because I really didn't set a deadline for cleaning the house. My filming room is literally a mess, but I'm okay with it. Like, physical environment doesn't really bother me that much, unless I'm like studying. Alright, tip number 7. Carry a notebook. So this tip, I didn't invent this one. Long time ago, I was watching some motivational videos, and in one of the videos, he talked about that successful people all carried a notebook. Write down your thoughts, write down anything that came to your mind, and it's going to be helpful. And if you have a to-do list, you can also put it on the notebook, right? Myself, I carry a notebook with me, but sometimes like it's just not always come in handy, because I don't always take my purse. Sometimes I just take my phone, and my phone case is a card holder, so that would be it. And sometimes if I talk to other people, and then I will note down certain things. So to me, because I use an iPhone, the function of notes really come in handy. Because I have an iPhone, I also have a MacBook, so I basically sync my notes from my iPhone to my MacBook. For example, in terms of this video, I actually planned this video when I was on the go. Basically, I was like, okay, I have 10 minutes to do, let me think about my video idea. And every time I have a video idea for my channel, I usually just put it on my note on my phone, and later I'll just film it. And sometimes if I know that I'm gonna film this video about time management and I learned a tip from someone else, and I would just put it in my notes. It is so convenient. So regardless if you use your phone or if you use an actual notebook, take notes regularly, not only just for to-do list. If there's something that you need to attend to, or if there's some information that's helpful for you, do it. Take notes and put it down. It is going to make your life so much more productive. Trust me. Tip number 8. Make use of all the small chunks of your time. I'm originally from Beijing, China. Beijing is a huge city with millions of people, and the lifestyle in Beijing is very, very fast paced. To really catch up with everything in your life, I had to really use very small chunks of time all the time. Sometimes if I go to school, I have 20 minutes before the class starts. I would use those 20 minutes, maybe plan my videos or plan my day or grade some papers, reply some emails. Try to squeeze in as many tasks as possible in all those smaller chunks of time. But once in a while, I do just let go and just let me just sit there doing nothing, be mindful, be reflective of my day and emotions. So it doesn't mean that you always have to be in the rush, because if you keep doing that, sometimes you could be, I don't know, you feel like you're always in a rush, like there is never a rest for you, and yeah. So this tip again is great for productivity, but just be mindful. I make use of all my possible small chunks of time. I try to make social media my work. So sometimes if I have 10 minutes, I will do an Instagram post. By the way, if you haven't followed me on Instagram, I have 2 accounts. One is Miss Ming Lifestyle, the other is Foodie Ming, because I'm also a foodie. I have a food blog page. So follow me on Instagram. So again, if you try to make use of all of the small chunks of time in your life, you realize that you actually have a lot of time in your life. Yeah, you have time for everything. Sometimes I have 20 minutes, I will go to the gym, because in downtown campus, the gym is actually right next to my office. So I could just go for 20 minutes. And then probably the gym staff think I'm weird because I went 20 minutes during lunchtime and then I went 20 minutes in the afternoon. So I never stayed for a long time, but I just constantly went back. But just don't care about what people think of you. You live your life and you have 20 minutes to kill. It doesn't hurt to take a walk. It doesn't hurt to do some elliptical machine. It doesn't hurt to work out, even if it's just 20 minutes. Tip number 9. Try to analyze the nature of your tasks and try to be reflective in terms of when and where you work the best, and try to match the nature of the tasks to your own schedule. So to me, in the morning, I love to write because that's when I have a very fresh mind. I didn't talk to anyone. I'm just in a very mindful, blank state that I'm motivated to do the hardest task in the morning. So I always put the hardest task in the very morning, which is, to me, is writing. And to me, reading is very therapeutic, even if it's reading textbooks, because to me, reading something is about reading some other people's mind. It is really fascinating. Somehow it just calms me down. So I would try to do reading maybe in the afternoon or in the evening. And when it comes to filming, of course, I need daylight. So I try to film in the middle of the day, usually in the morning, because this room is facing east. In the afternoon, I will have to go downstairs to the other room because the sun is literally like not here. So because of the nature of filming tasks, I have to do it in the morning. But when it comes to editing, I can edit anytime, anywhere. I can use my desktop, I can use my laptop. So I try to batch film, and then I will edit them during the week at night. It's at night I feel like I'm the most creative. Get to know yourself and get to know when you perform what the best, and try to analyze the nature of the tasks and try to match them together. You would realize that you will be more productive because you will spend less time on each task because you are in the best state of your mind. All right, tip number 10. I never watch TV on the couch by myself. When I watch TV, I usually either watch TV with someone else. It's like a social activity. Either I'm watching it with my in-laws or watching it with my husband, or I'm watching YouTube TV on the elliptical machine or on a treadmill. I actually made it a rule, if I'm going to watch a video or a movie or anything, I have to do something else at the same time. And you can just do that when you're on elliptical machine, and you can do that at the gym. So if there's a new episode of 100 came out, I don't watch it until I go to the gym. I'm on the elliptical machine and then I can watch it. So to me, watching YouTube and Instagram is like a more social activity that you're engaging with other people in real life, versus watching TV is like, you get nothing out of it. Well, other than the entertaining part. So that's why I made the rule, like if I want to watch TV, I could work out at the gym, doing cardio, so I'm killing two birds with one stone. If you're watching TV with your family, that is okay because it's a social activity. I'm not against watching TV itself. It's just, to me, I have so much different things to do, and I don't want to do anything that's not either helping me or helping others. Again, taking this tip with a grain of salt, it doesn't mean that if you're watching TV, you're wasting time. It's just, for me, I feel like I want to do something more active, either engage with other people or going to the gym at the same time. But there's nothing wrong with TV, and there is nothing wrong with you watching TV. Just to be clear, I really don't want to be offensive to anyone. It's just my own opinion, and it's just the way I live my life. Tip number 11. Think about the time you waste on traffic, social media, and all of these things. There are a lot of times people get off from work at 5 and the traffic is horrible, and they would just get into the traffic and then. But to me, the way I do things, again, it may not apply to everybody because you may have a kid to get to, you may have to leave your office just because you're locking the door. But to me, I try to avoid traffic as much as possible. Either I leave home early, get to work early, or sometimes I will leave my house early, get to a Starbucks and work there, and then I will go to yoga. Essentially, I schedule my activities in my life based on the traffic, because the time you spend on traffic is a complete waste of time. If you have kids, I understand if you have to pick them up at certain time, but if you do have some flexibility in your schedule, maybe you could go to a Starbucks or any places closer to the school, like to work there and then to avoid the traffic and then to pick up your kid. And if you think after you pick up your kid there may be traffic, maybe you can just do something else around school together, you know. But again, I don't have any kids, so but I understand sometimes our schedule is not always up to us, especially like if you have family and children. But my tip is just to be mindful in terms of the time you're completely wasting on something that's out of your control, and how you can control your time or the way you schedule your time around them so that you're not wasting your quality time. Tip number 12. Work intensively. I'm a Ph.D. student, and sometimes I will hear other people say that I spend so much time on a project, I spend so much time on something. I really admire people's devotion in terms of the work they do, but again, you can always extend your work duration based on the deadline or the time slot that you assign to this task. For example, if I schedule 2 hours for me to write a proposal, I can definitely spend the 2 hours to write this proposal. But instead, if I just give myself 1 hour, I bet I can finish that within 1 hour. And sometimes I just try to drag myself to finish something when I was not in the best mental state, and I just couldn't focus, and I just kept wasting my time on this specific task, and I wasn't working intensively. I was not focused. I was like idling around. I was like snacking around. So what I learned from all of the experience I had as a PhD student is that I can spend as long as possible in a lot of tasks I do. At the same time, I can try to work intensively and take short breaks in between. I can finish the task really quickly, at the same time have a good quality. Tip number 13. Multitasking is the key, but there are also tasks in your life that's not worth multitasking. I definitely learned this question the hard way because I love multitasking. I'm always a productive person. I live a very fast-paced life in my entire life. And so a lot of times I multitask. But if you're working on a paper, if you're working on a reading at the same time you're multitasking on something else, it turned out that you're not working intensively and focused on the reading of paper, so the quality of the paper or your understanding of the readings are not to the best level. At the same time, you're actually not finishing the other task either. I definitely learned it the hard way. But there are also other stuff that you could actually multitask. For example, you could be grading papers or doing readings while eating, because you don't have to focus on the food. I guess you are chewing, but eating is more about like a physical activity versus grading papers is really a mental activity, so I combine them together. The same goes with watching YouTube videos and also YouTube TV at the same time working at the gym, because I know that I'm doing the activity that's like good for me. At the same time, I'm entertaining myself with the YouTube videos and YouTube TV channels. Sometimes multitasking can save you a lot of time, so always think that how you can multitask in your life, but at the same time, there are times and tasks that are just not worth multitasking with. It's better that you finish 2 tasks each individually in 30 minutes versus you drag both tasks for 1 hour and you're not focused on either task. Tip number 14, taking breaks. Everybody needs a break. When I was writing, I take breaks basically every hour. I would go to the kitchen, eat some snacks, or I would just watch a video, or I would just go work out for 20 minutes or go for a walk for 10 minutes. Taking breaks is very, very, very important. For example, during my qualified exam, I did intensive writing for 7 days. And when I just couldn't write anymore, I would just go out, listen to music, and I either take a walk or I ran. And I actually lost like 2 or 3 pounds after my qualified exam. But by taking that break, I have a mental break, I have a physical break, my blood is flowing, especially when you do physical activities during your break, and you can go back to your task with a refreshed mind. It may help you to be more efficient and productive. Again, it doesn't matter how many hours you work, it matters how many tasks that you do. Yeah. Alright, these are the tips and experiences I have as a PhD student in terms of managing my own time. I hope this video is helpful for you. Definitely, I understand everybody's different. Everybody has different priorities. So please be mindful and also take into consideration of what you need, what makes you happy when you take these tips with a grain of salt. If you like this video or if you find this video helpful, please give it a thumbs up and comment down below if you have other time management tips that I didn't mention in this video to help me and also other viewers in terms of time management and live a more productive life. Alright, that's it for today. Before you go, don't forget to subscribe to this channel. We're getting closer to 700. So yes, your support means the world to me, and please subscribe and join the family. Alright, that's it for today. It's always hard to say goodbye to you guys. A thumbs up and subscribe, ring the bell. I'll see you in my next video. Bye! Have a productive day. Bye!